What's the main obstacle to the adoption of EVs? For people looking to convert to electric vehicles, one of the biggest obstacles to EV adoption has been a lack of access to charging infrastructure. However, the majority of prospective EV buyers anticipate charging their EVs at home. Per Deloitte's 2022 Global Automotive Consumer Study, analysts have been predicting for the past few years that Americans will embrace electric vehicles with great enthusiasm and speed as the way of the future for transportation. Although the market for EVs is growing, it seems that the US's revolution in electric vehicles is moving much more slowly than some analysts and automakers had predicted. In the US, EV sales have increased since 2016. In 2017, there were around 65,000 EVs sold, and by 2022, there were over 800,000 EVs. Following the growing trend, EV sales increased 51% in the first half of 2023, according to data from auto analysts company Motor Intelligence. Still, those gains represent a decline from the 71% growth in the same period previous year. In addition, Tesla, the market leader with over half of all EV sales, recently revealed its lowest quarterly profitability in the previous 2 years, which caused a $138 billion decline in the value of the company's shares. Based on these signs, a few US automakers are making new business decisions. General Motors is moving away from its mid-2024 production target of 400,000 electric vehicles. 2 years ago, the company said that it will phase out internal combustion engines by 2035. Plans to collaborate with Honda to develop a range of more reasonably priced EVs have also been cancelled. Executives at Ford said that they don't currently require the production capacity to fulfill demand, thus they are postponing billions of dollars in EV investment. According to Elizabeth Creer, Vice President of Electric Vehicle Practice at consumer research firm J.D. Power, it's not that Americans don't want to purchase EVs. We survey over 2,000 e-vehicle shoppers to gauge their interests in EVs every single month, she explains. In October, a record-breaking 29.2% of prospective buyers of new cars said that they would be very inclined to choose a fully electric vehicle. Thus, nearly 1 in 3 prospective buyers of new cars are extremely likely to give an electric vehicle some thought. However, a few fundamental issues have hindered US drivers' acceptance of EVs. These issues must be resolved before the country's uptake of EVs can soar as predicted. The primary barrier among these is the cost of living. EVs continue to be significantly more expensive than their combustion counterparts, despite declining costs and the US introduced tax benefits. The cost is too high for the typical American automobile buyer, as loan rates are at a 2-decade high. A person's daily life can be greatly impacted by transportation, and it is human tendency to feel more at ease changing a behavior after it has become the norm in society. Despite the high level of awareness regarding EVs, nearly 2/3, 65% of Americans have either never driven an EV or know someone who has. Despite this, the use of EVs is growing quickly due to a number of factors, including lower battery costs, longer ranges resulting from better battery performance, and incentives from the federal and state governments. Compared to 32% of baby boomers, 42% of Gen Z respondents indicate they are at least somewhat likely to consider purchasing an electric vehicle, demonstrating the greater awareness of relevant environmental issues among younger Americans. Although the EV business confronts numerous urgent difficulties, these are encouraging trends. These are the 10 things that, as the sector develops, we need to address. The largest obstacle facing the EV sector is the expense of buying a car. The cost of building electric vehicles is higher than that of gasoline-powered ones, mostly due to advancements in battery technology. To offer most owners with a minimal range, EV batteries need to be able to hold a large charge, which means that producing them requires expensive raw materials. In the United States, gas-powered cars are so widely available that even when battery costs are taken into account, they still remain relatively inexpensive. While EVs may be less expensive to operate than their gasoline-powered counterparts, they must first be purchased. At the moment, few models are available on the market with sticker prices under $30,000 without government tax incentives. Anxiety about range exists. When it comes to finding a gas station for a quick fill-up when needed, Americans are accustomed to getting in their cars and driving wherever they want and however far they want to go. However, Many are concerned about how far an electric vehicle can go before coming across a charging station and having to endure a protracted charging session. This problem is especially problematic in the winter, when below freezing temperatures can drastically reduce an EV's typical battery range. The majority of EVs on the market can travel 200 to 300 miles between charges in mild climates. Considering that Americans travel an average of 36 miles each day, or 13,500 miles annually, that is more than enough. However, an EV user might want a charge every 3 to 4 hours for those long days on the road, weekend getaways, driving vacations, or merely frigid weather. Additionally, it may take 4 to 6 hours or more to fully charge an EV for the next 3 to 4 hours of driving, as just under 80% of public charging stations are level 2. The only EV models available in the United States 10 years ago were the Mitsubishi i-MI EV, Tesla Roadster 1.0, and Nissan Leaf 24 kWh. These days, selection is growing quickly as manufacturers scale up. There were 28 EV models from 18 manufacturers available in America as of 2022. Compared to gasoline-powered cars, the selection of electric vehicles is currently quite small, with most automakers offering only a few models. SUVs, hatchbacks, and sedans are getting easier to find. People shopping for a truck or minivan still require more options though. In 2022, Ford unveiled the F-150 Lightning, an electric variant of the country's best-selling passenger truck. Due to its overwhelming popularity, pre-sales for the upcoming production are being held for a full year ahead of time. The majority of automobile owners discover that using an authorized, independent maintenance and repair business can sometimes result in a much lower cost than having their vehicle serviced by a dealer. Since the EV market is still very tiny, there aren't many certified independent shops or skilled EV repair technicians, because it might be risky for an unskilled technician to work on an EV beyond tires, brakes, light bulbs, and audio components. The majority of EV owners rely on their EV dealer for repair. Thankfully, EVs require less maintenance than cars that run on gasoline. However, at the moment, there is limited competition to help keep costs down if an expensive component needs to be replaced, such as the battery pack, which normally costs $5,000 and above, depending on the EV model. Range anxiety is becoming more common as a result of the lack of charging outlets in many parts of the nation. With the enactment of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act in 2021, the federal government is attempting to ameliorate the problem by allocating an additional $7.5 billion for EV charging stations and associated infrastructure. The act will provide funding for a fair network of 500,000 EV chargers along 75,000 miles of approved routes throughout the United States, helping both more populated and rural locations. According to the design, there must be a charging station no more than a mile off the roadway and every 50 miles along the interstate. In all 50 states, projects that depend at least in part on this money have already received approval. The majority of EV charging still occurs at home, which poses a problem for people who live in shared housing, also known as multi-unit dwellings, or MUDs, and for those who must park on the street despite the abundance of public charging stations. Research indicates that the availability of on-site charging stations can influence an electric vehicle driver's choice to move into or stay in a specific residential property. California, the state with the greatest EV adoption rate, already requires 3% of newly constructed multi-family parking spaces to be make-ready for EV charging. For drivers, charging electric automobiles might present challenges in as little as 3 to 4 hours or as much as 10 to 12 hours, depending on battery capacity. Level 2 chargers can fully charge a battery. An EV battery may be charged to 80% capacity and 30 to 60% using a DC fast charging station. This may seem quick, but it can add a significant amount of time to longer trips. We anticipate significant reductions in these times as battery technology advances. For instance, Porsche boasts that a mere 5 minutes may supply up to 62 miles of range for its Taycan model, which has previously achieved DC charging speeds of 23 minutes for 88% of the battery. Millions more people will become new EV users, putting additional strain on the electric grid. As a result, capacity on the grid will need to be increased. The US Department of Energy has projected a 38% increase in electricity use by 2050, mostly due to EVs. Experts disagree on how much additional power we'll need. That's all for today. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications. Also express your thoughts in the comment section below. Until next time, bye.